Welcome to this week's edition of the Wheels and Deals Community Spotlight, brought to you by Wheels and Deals of Pomeroy and the Meg's Independent Press.
This is Carrie Rose, the Meg's Independent Press, and I am here again for another episode of Community Spotlight sponsored by Wheels and Deals. This week we are talking about integrated services, and with me I have Krystal Young, and she is a licensed social worker. Now tell us a little bit about integrated services.
Well, I'll start with the vision, and that is healthy people, strong communities. That is a very important part of what we do, and it follows along with our mission, which is to improve the behavioral health and well-being of Ohioans and their communities.
And so tell us what you do as far as how do you make that happen?
We provide an array of services. It would start with behavioral health services. That's community-based, office-based. It depends on the individual. Really, we're meeting people where they are. And so depending on the individual is going to be depending where that service takes place. And those include like therapy, community behavioral support. We do psychiatric services. We have housing programs, and we have addiction counseling programs.
So if someone has an issue with any of those things, you guys can help.
Absolutely.
So give me an example of how you help. What are one of your services? How someone needs help with any of those areas, what would be a way that you would assist them?
So people can come in self-referred. So if they would hear about our agency and know that we could help, they could refer themselves. Our other referrals typically come from primary care offices, children's services, the courts. If there's an identified homeless need or something like that, they could be referred to us for those type of services.
Okay, so if someone is interested in being able to connect with any of those, how do they get a hold of you?
So we have a 1-800 number.
Okay.
It's 1-800-321-8293. They could call that number. We also are online, isbh.org. They could reach all of our services are listed on the webpage as well. And they would complete an intake. We would complete the intake, and then depending on that intake would be how we directed their services moving forward.
Okay, so where are you located?
We are on 150 Mill Street in Middleport.
Okay, and I know you're not just in Meigs County.
Right.
I know you're in Gallia County.
We are.
And where else are you located at?
We are all across Ohio. Every day we're going into new counties. So I'll tell you the one specifically for Southern Ohio because that's where I'm typically working in Gallia, Jackson, Meigs. But we're also in Pike County, we're in Ross County, we're in Pickaway County, we're in Washington County, we're in Benton County, we're in Franklin County, Licking County. I mean, we're really expanding all the time.
So there's opportunities to be all over the place as far as needing that connectivity to resources. So give us an example of what you can do for someone.
Well, so our agency encourages our community behavioral health workers to provide walking and talking supportive services.
Okay.
So I'll explain what this means by reading an excerpt from our webpage.
Okay.
And let me read this to you. So it says, stepping into a person's everyday life to engage in conversations over time while also assisting with routine needs, helping to solve problems, taking on life's vexing dilemmas together, and walking and talking alongside them. And just opening up opportunities for them to experience themselves and change their life stories.
That's powerful, to be able to change your life story. That's especially when you're encountering, and in the past couple of weeks we've talked about a lot of trauma, we've talked about being a victim, we've talked about being a survivor, and what those things can look like. And this is another one of those resources to be able to change that narrative and to stop that generational or the generational cycle or that cycle that has kept you from being the best you that you can be, and kept you from being successful. And this maybe doesn't apply to you. Maybe there's someone in your family or a neighbor or a loved one that has experienced various issues and has various barriers. So this is one more resource. This is one more piece of the puzzle that you can use to be able to change somebody's life. So is there anything else that you want to be able to share about what you do?
Well, I would really just like to share our values.
Okay.
So we're collaborative, which means we're working with community partners. We're always wanting to see what we can do collaboratively with our community and with these individuals. We're community minded, forward thinking, integrated, local. We're in all these counties. We're person centered. We're meeting that person where they are and just kind of seeing how we can help at that moment. And also we're data driven because we want to be able to kind of see the populations and enhance the services based on interventions through best practices and validated research.
So do you have resources, especially for like housing? Because I know that's a big issue in this area.
We do. We have housing programs that are directly aimed to homeless individuals.
Okay.
And then we do have some preventative resources too in the housing realm to help individuals to stay in their home.
So if someone is in need of those services, again, can you give us a number?
Sure. They would just call 1-800-321-8293.
And again, that's if you have any of, you're dealing with a lot of different things, behavioral health, addiction. There's a lot of different layers here that you can help out with.
There is. So we serve children, adults, and their families. We offer home-based behavioral health services, counseling, psychiatric services. And then I talked about the intensive outpatient program is new to Meigs County particularly, and that is an intensive outpatient program for addiction counseling.
Okay.
And that is new to this county, and we have it in several other counties. And so this is directly targeting the individuals who are struggling with addiction and pairing the other services that we provide with it to address the mental health and the housing and other goals that they may be wanting to reach, like employment and things like that.
And it's not always the case, but a lot of times you find someone ends up into addiction following trauma.
Absolutely.
It's just one more rung on the ladder. It's not just one piece. It's a whole jigsaw puzzle of how someone ends up getting into addiction. So you offer those resources, and you can even come to their home.
Absolutely. While the IOP program are groups that we hold in office, like I said, we will pair based on their need the other services with the IOP program. Like specifically the trauma, we would connect them with psychiatric care and behavioral health therapy to address those trauma needs as well as the addiction.
And if you have any idea of exactly what happens, not just in Meigs County, but in Southeast Ohio, you understand there is a huge need for mental health services. There used to be a lot of places that were residential, that were more of the institutional type base, but those don't exist as maybe our parents or our grandparents knew them. And so now you have people that are trying to deal with their mental health on their own, and while they may be seeing counseling, they may be seeing somebody, it's so difficult, especially if you're having to monitor medication and you're having to do things, and you're saying this is a resource that can help. Yes. with that mental health.
Yes, so if we would determine that an individual had a need higher than an outpatient setting that we provide, we would make those referrals and talk with them about their treatment options and ways that we could address that higher level care that they may perhaps need.
Because that's hard to get in the door. There are very few beds, there are very few places to be able to do that, and that's hard to get into the door, but you're able to be able
Yes.
to get them there.
Well, and it just goes back to meeting them where they are. And so if I'm meeting someone and that's where they are, then I'm going to assess them and making contact with the services they need and making the referrals, or, getting them to and advocating for them to get into that bed if that's what they need.
That's great, because that's very difficult. We really I guess I cannot overstate the need for mental health services. It's If you have someone that struggles with that, this is a resource that is valuable, and one that is definitely needed. So if you have any of these issues, or you know anyone that is struggling with these issues, or maybe you don't, but I'm going to bet that you do, and you just may not realize it, share this information with them. This is about community change. It's about Meigs Countyans taking care of Meigs Countyans. It's about Appalachia taking care of Appalachia. It's about us taking care of one another and helping one another along the road. And this is a resource that we can be able to do that. Is there anything else that you want to add?
I'll just share that number again, because if this is something that they're identifying the need, we want to be there and help them. So it's 1-800-321-8293.
Okay, and this is Carrie Rose with Meigs Independent Press. This is Community Spotlight, sponsored by Wheels and Deals. We're trying to share that connectivity to resources. You never know what you're going to get each week when we tune in, but we're trying to make tomorrow better. And the way we can do that is by helping one another and by connecting and just being a better community and being a better neighbor. And we'll see you next week.
This week's Community Spotlight is brought to you by Wheels and Deals of Pomeroy and the Meigs Independent Press.